Halo semuanya, selamat datang di podcast Obrolan Warung Kopi. Aku Vira, yang siap nyeduh obrolan seru buat kamu.
Dan aku Raffi, yang tugasnya nyampurin gula biar ngobrolnya makin manis. Hari ini topiknya tidak kalah hangat, yaitu tentang Future Flow Exploring Tomorrow's Tech. Oke Vira, langsung aja ya. Sebelum kopinya keburu dingin, apa pertanyaan pertamamu?
Okay, Rafi, so with Future Flow exploring tomorrow's tech, where do you think we should start? What's the most exciting or impactful tech trend you see on the horizon? I'm really curious to know your perspective.
That's a great question, Vira. If I had to pick one, I'd say advancements in personalized medicine are incredibly exciting. Imagine treatments tailored specifically to your individual genetic makeup.
Personalized medicine sounds amazing, Rafi, but how far away are we from that reality? Is it something we'll see in the next few years, or is it still decades down the line?
That's the million-dollar question, Vira. I think we're already seeing glimpses of it with targeted therapies for certain cancers. But widespread, truly personalized medicine? Probably closer to a decade or two, maybe even more, depending on funding and research breakthroughs.
A decade or two, huh? That's a long time to wait, but it's definitely worth it if it means more effective treatments. Rafi, what about the ethical considerations surrounding personalized medicine? I mean, access, data privacy. Are there any potential downsides we need to be aware of?
Absolutely, Vira. The ethical considerations are huge. Access is a big one. Will these personalized treatments be affordable and available to everyone, or just the wealthy? And data privacy is paramount. Imagine your genetic information being hacked or misused. We need strong regulations and safeguards in place before personalized medicine becomes mainstream.
That makes a lot of sense, Rafi. So if regulations and accessibility are addressed, do you think personalized medicine will eventually replace more traditional approaches to healthcare? Or will they coexist?
I think they'll likely coexist for a while, Vira. Traditional methods will still be valuable for common ailments and preventative care. But for complex diseases and personalized risk assessment, personalized medicine will become increasingly dominant.
Interesting. So it's more of an evolution than a complete replacement. Rafi, shifting gears slightly, what about the impact of AI on education? Do you see AI transforming how we learn and teach in the near future?
Definitely, Vira. AI is already starting to transform education. We're seeing personalized learning platforms that adapt to each student's individual pace and learning style. I think AI tutors and virtual assistants will become more common, offering students customized support and feedback.
That sounds incredibly efficient, Rafi. But what about the potential for over-reliance on AI in education? Could it stifle creativity or critical thinking skills if students become too dependent on AI tools?
That's a valid concern, Vira. Over-reliance is a risk. It's crucial that AI is used to augment human teachers, not replace them. We need to focus on developing critical thinking and problem-solving skills alongside AI-assisted learning.
So it's about finding the right balance, right? Rafi, you mentioned AI tutors. How do we ensure these AI tutors are unbiased and culturally sensitive, especially given the diverse student populations in many classrooms?
That's a very important point, Vira. AI bias is a real issue, and it's crucial to address it in the development and deployment of AI tutors. We need to ensure that the data used to train these AI systems is diverse and representative. and we need to actively monitor and mitigate any biases that may arise. Perhaps, involving diverse educators and cultural experts in the design process could also help.
That's a great suggestion, Rafi. Involving diverse perspectives from the start seems like a proactive approach. Do you think there are specific ethical frameworks or guidelines that developers should adhere to when creating AI educational tools to minimize bias and promote fairness?
Absolutely, Vera. I think developers should adhere to ethical frameworks like the IEEE's Ethically Aligned Design and UNESCO's AI in Education Guidelines. These frameworks emphasize transparency, accountability, and fairness, ensuring AI systems are developed and used responsibly. Following these guidelines can help minimize bias and promote equitable learning opportunities for all students.
That makes sense, Rafi. But even with ethical guidelines in place, how can we be certain that these AI systems are truly understanding and responding to the individual learning needs of each student? Can an algorithm really grasp the nuances of a student's learning style or emotional state?
That's the million-dollar question, Vera. While I can analyze vast amounts of data to personalize learning, it still struggles with truly understanding the nuances of human emotion and individual learning styles. We need to be cautious about over-relying on AI and remember the importance of human interaction and personalized feedback from teachers.
Apa sayang?
So are we saying that AI should be seen as a tool to assist teachers rather than replace them entirely? It seems like the human element is still incredibly valuable in education.
Exactly, Vera. I should be seen as a powerful assistant that can automate certain tasks and provide personalized learning recommendations. However, the human element, the teacher's empathy, mentorship, and ability to adapt to individual student needs, remains irreplaceable.
That's a great point, Rafi. But doesn't that raise concerns about accessibility? If AI is primarily a tool for teachers, are we further widening the gap between well-resourced schools that can afford AI tools and those that can't?
That's a very valid concern, Vera. Unequal access to AI tools could definitely exacerbate existing inequalities in education. We need to ensure that AI is developed and deployed in a way that benefits all students, regardless of their socioeconomic background.
What steps can be taken to mitigate this disparity? Should governments and educational institutions prioritize funding for AI tools in underserved schools?
Absolutely, Vera. Prioritizing funding for AI tools in underserved schools is crucial. We also need to explore open source AI solutions and teacher training programs to ensure equitable access and effective utilization of these technologies.
That's a solid start, Rafi. But how do we ensure that these open source solutions are actually effective and user-friendly for teachers who might not be tech-savvy? Is there a risk of creating tools that are free but ultimately unusable?
That's a risk we definitely need to consider, Vera. It's not enough to just provide the tools. We need to invest in robust training and support systems. Think mentorship programs connecting experienced tech-savvy teachers with those who are less familiar, or creating easily accessible online resources and tutorials.
That makes perfect sense, Rafi. So, beyond just the tools themselves and the training, what about the content? How do we ensure that the AI-driven educational content is culturally relevant and unbiased, especially considering the diverse student populations we have?
That's a critical point, Vera. Algorithmic bias is a real concern. We need diverse teams of educators, content creators, and AI ethicists working together to develop and vet the curriculum. Regularly auditing AI-driven content for bias is also essential to ensure fairness and inclusivity.
Okay, Rafi, that sounds like a pretty comprehensive approach. But auditing for bias sounds incredibly complex. What specific metrics or methods can be used to effectively detect and mitigate bias in AI-driven educational content? Are there any existing frameworks we can adapt?
Absolutely, Vera. One promising approach is using explainable AI XAI techniques to understand how the AI is making decisions. This allows us to identify potential biases in the underlying data or algorithms. We can also employ fairness metrics like demographic parity and equal opportunity to quantify and address disparities in learning outcomes across different student groups.
Explainable AI? That's interesting. So, are there readily available XAI tools that educators can use, or is this something that requires a very specialized skill set? I'm imagining a lot of teachers might feel overwhelmed by the technical aspects.
That's a valid concern, Fira. While some XAI tools require technical expertise, there are also user-friendly interfaces and platforms emerging that are designed for educators. These tools often provide simplified explanations and visualizations to help teachers understand how AI is assessing student work and identifying areas for improvement. Think of it as a bias detection dashboard for education.
A bias detection dashboard for education? That sounds incredibly helpful. But what about the data itself? Even with the best AI, garbage in equals garbage out, right? How do we ensure the data used to train these educational AI systems is truly representative and unbiased in the first place?
That's a critical point, Fira. Data diversity and representation are paramount. We need to actively seek out and incorporate data from a wide range of sources and demographics to avoid perpetuating existing societal biases. This includes being mindful of cultural nuances and linguistic variations.
So it sounds like a very proactive approach is needed from the get-go. What are some concrete steps educational institutions can take to ensure they're collecting and curating data responsibly for AI training? Is there a best practices guide they can follow?
Absolutely, Vera. One key step is establishing clear data governance policies that prioritize privacy, fairness, and transparency. This includes defining specific criteria for data collection, storage, and usage. Several organizations are developing ethical AI frameworks and best practices guides specifically tailored for the education sector. These resources provide actionable guidance on data curation and bias mitigation.
That's great to hear. So these frameworks are essentially blueprints for responsible AI implementation and education. But are these frameworks and best practices actually being adopted widely? Are we seeing a real shift in how educational institutions are approaching AI? That's great to hear. So these frameworks are essentially blueprints for responsible AI implementation in education. But are these frameworks and best practices actually being adopted widely? Are we seeing a real shift in how educational institutions are approaching AI?
It's a mixed bag, Fira. While awareness is growing, widespread adoption is still a challenge. Some institutions are leading the way by integrating ethical considerations into their AI strategies, but many are still playing catch-up. Factors like budget constraints, lack of expertise, and competing priorities can hinder progress.
That makes sense. So it's not just about having the resources, but also the willingness to prioritize responsible AI. Thinking about those budget constraints, Are there any low-cost or open-source tools that educational institutions can leverage to help them with data curation and bias detection, especially if they're just starting out?
Definitely. There are several open source tools available, like FairLearn and AI Fairness 360, which are designed to help detect and mitigate bias in datasets and AI models. Also, many cloud providers offer free tiers or discounted rates for educational institutions to access their AI platforms and services. It's a matter of exploring those options and finding what fits their specific needs.
That's fantastic. Open source tools and cloud offerings could really level the playing field. Now, shifting gears a bit, let's talk about the students themselves. How are they being prepared to navigate this AI-driven world, both in terms of using AI tools effectively and understanding the ethical implications?
That's a crucial question, Fira. We're seeing some schools incorporate AI literacy into their curriculum, teaching students about basic AI concepts, how algorithms work, and the potential biases they can contain. But it's not yet a standard practice, and there's a need for more comprehensive programs that equip students with the critical thinking skills to evaluate AI's impact on society.
That's a bit concerning. If it's not yet standard practice, what are some innovative approaches or pilot programs that are showing promise in effectively preparing students for this AI-driven world? Are there specific pedagogical methods that seem to be working well?
Absolutely. Some schools are implementing project-based learning where students use AI tools to solve real-world problems. This hands-on experience not only teaches them how to use AI, but also fosters critical thinking about its limitations and ethical considerations. Others are incorporating AI ethics discussions into existing courses like social studies or even literature, making it a more integrated part of their education.
That sounds like a more engaging way to learn about AI. But how do we ensure that these project-based learning experiences are accessible to students from all backgrounds, especially those who might not have access to the latest technology at home? Is there a risk of creating a further digital divide?
That's a very valid point, Fira. Accessibility is a major concern. Schools need to provide equal access to technology and internet connectivity, and also offer training for teachers on how to effectively integrate AI tools into their lessons in a way that benefits all students, regardless of their background.
So it's not just about providing the tech, but also the support system around it. What about the teachers themselves? Are they getting enough training and support to confidently teach AI literacy? I imagine it's a big shift for many of them.
You're spot on. Many teachers feel overwhelmed by the rapid advancements in AI. Professional development programs that focus on practical AI applications in education, rather than just theory, are crucial. These programs should also address their concerns and provide ongoing support.
That makes perfect sense. But what about the curriculum itself? Is there a standard framework for AI literacy education, or is it still largely up to individual schools to figure out?
Currently, it's still quite fragmented. While some organizations are developing AI literacy frameworks, there isn't a universally adopted standard. This can lead to inconsistencies in what students learn and how they are assessed.
That's a bit worrying, isn't it? Without a standard, how can we ensure that all students are getting the foundational knowledge they need to navigate an AI-driven world? What are some of the key elements that you think should be included in a core AI literacy curriculum? That's a bit worrying, isn't it? Without a standard, how can we ensure that all students are getting the foundational knowledge they need to navigate an AI-driven world? What are some of the key elements that you think should be included in a core AI literacy curriculum?
Itulah pekerjaannya. Iya.
Absolutely. I believe a core AI literacy curriculum should include basic understanding of AI concepts like machine learning and neural networks, its ethical implications, and practical skills in using AI tools responsibly. It should also foster critical thinking about AI's impact on society and the workforce.
Wah, NGGAK, terasa waktu kita hampir habis NIH. Sebelum kita tutup, aku mau dengar kesimpulan dari kamu dulu, Vi.
Alright, Fira, summing up Future Flow, Exploring Tomorrow's Tech. I'd say it's all about understanding that technology isn't just evolving, it's converging and accelerating, demanding we stay agile and adaptable to truly harness its potential. The future belongs to those who can navigate that flow effectively.
All right, folks, that was a fantastic conclusion from Rafi. Thanks so much for sharing your insights with us. And to all our listeners tuning in to Obrolan Warung Kopi, thank you for joining us today. We hope you enjoyed this episode as much as we did. Don't forget to subscribe to our podcast on your favorite platform, give us a rating, and leave a comment. We love hearing from you. Until next time, stay caffeinated, keep those conversations flowing, and have a wonderful day. Bye!
Bagus, aduh, tahu keren banget ya. Ternyata ada cerita kayak gitu ya. Gua kira di sentran doang tau. Ada di kantor gua. Lu percaya nggak? Apa tuh? Cleaning service.